Okay, in our last problem set, we worked on the quadratic formula, and now we're going to work on the number of solutions in our quadratic equation using the part of the quadratic formula that's called the discriminant, which is that you'll remember we're going to set up every time, set up our quadratic formula so it looks like this form. And then we can solve it using negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then this part over here, gets to be called the discriminant. And our value for that will tell us a lot about the answer to the quadratic. So maybe we don't want to calculate all of this, but we just want to know some details about the quadratic. For instance, if we look at A will tell us, what will A tell us? A will tell us whether if A is greater than 0, that it opens up, or if A is less than 0, that it opens down like that. Let me rewrite those because that really looks terrible. Let's try that again. We know that if A is greater than 0, then the quadratic that, and A is less than 0, quadratic open down like that. So that tells us one thing, and then this discriminant will tell us how many times it crosses the how many x-intercepts are, how many times it crosses. So D can either this discriminant D is equal to that value b squared minus 4ac. So if D is less than 0, then we don't have any real solutions. We can't do this yet. And we don't have any real solutions to this square root. And so it doesn't cross, there are no solutions, first of all, and it doesn't cross the x-axis. So the parabola might be graphed like, if D is equal to 0, then there's one solution, and that means that it's going to hit the x-axis just one time, so it's going to look something like that and hit there on one point, and then that will be our one solution. And if D is greater than 0, I didn't explain this. If D is 0, then square root of 0 is 0, and then our answer is just this negative b over 2a. But if b is greater than 0, then we're going to have some square root, and then we're going to have this negative b plus that and negative b minus that. So we're going to have two solutions. And that's going to look like this, where it crosses 2 times. That tells us a lot between these the value of a here and the value of the discriminant. That'll tell us a lot about it. And then there's one more thing, which is this different. This part right here becomes our vertex. So the x value of our vertex. And so if we want to know where the vertex is, then we can just find that really easy. Between all three of these, we can basically figure out really exactly what this what this parabola looks like really easily without having to draw it out or find a table of values or stuff. So one of the things we're going to do here is do the number of solutions, and that will follow this right here. We're going to use the discriminant. Okay, so is the discriminant of f positive, 0, or negative? So let's see. It is not touching. There are no x-intercepts. It looks like this, but of course it's flipped up because maybe a is negative here. But it's floating above or floating below. So we know that the discriminant is less than 0. So our discriminant is negative. Second, what is the value of the discriminant of f, and what is that? What is the discriminant? That's b squared minus 4ac, and here we've got that already up in this form here. So b squared is 100 minus 4 times a, which is negative 4, times c, which is negative 8. And we can simplify that. 16, negative and negative. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times negative 8 is going to be negative, and it's going to be 128. So it's going to be 100 minus 128. So that answer is going to be 28. So what's the value of the discriminant? It's negative 28. And how many distinct real number zeros does it have? Well, it's less than 0, so there are no solutions. 0 solutions. Real number. Erase this part up and over here. Okay. Is the discriminant of f positive, 0, or negative? Again, so this we can tell that the a on this, the coefficient, leading coefficient here, is negative because it's going down, and it crosses the x-axis in 2 places. So since it crosses the x-axis in 2 places like this, it has 2 solutions, and d is greater than 0. So d is positive. Positive means greater than 0. Okay, and then we have another question, just like our last one. So what is the value of the discriminant? And the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. And let's check that it's in this format already. Negative 4x squared plus 12x plus minus 9. And yes, that's in that format there. So b is 12. A is negative 4. B is 12, and C is negative 9. Sorry, I didn't do that for the first one of these. So b squared is 144 minus 4 times A is negative 4 times C is negative 9. So we've got 144 minus, let's wait and see what this is. So negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. And times negative 9. I'm going to have to 16 times negative 9. So that's 54. 144, negative 144. So it's going to be, it's going to be minus 144. So we've got a negative here, and a negative here is a positive, and another negative is a negative. So it's going to equal to 0. So the discriminant is 0. And if we look over here, 0 means that there's one solution, and it's touching the x-axis just like that. This value is less than 0, so it's going to open down, but it's going to open down and touch once, so there's going to be one x-intercept. And that is how we check our solutions for a quadratic equation.